Cabinet Secretary for Defense, Honorable Eden Duale, and the U.S. Secretary of Defense have now come in to sign the Kenya-U.S. Defense Cooperation Framework. Welcome, sir.
The United States and Kenya signed a military agreement, launching a strategic cooperation aimed at delivering financial and security assistance to Kenya. Welcome to the Rise Africa channel. I'm Dalmar, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us. This relationship is critical as Kenya assumes command of a multinational peacekeeping mission in Haiti, with the primary goal of reducing gang violence in the Caribbean country. The signing ceremony was held in Nairobi, with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Kenyan Defense Minister Eden Duale in attendance. This agreement will set the direction of defense cooperation between these two countries for the next 5 years, particularly in view of the intensifying crisis in East Africa, particularly against the al-Qaeda-affiliated terrorist group al-Shabab. Secretary Austin praised Kenya for its commitment to leading the multinational operation in Haiti and emphasized the U.S. resolve to work with Congress to secure the pledged $100 million in funding, which was made on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Austin also urged other countries to follow Kenya's lead in global security by contributing personnel, equipment, support, training, and finance. The United Nations and the United States have both endorsed Kenya's commitment to send 1,000 security officers to Haiti. Kenya is ready to deploy to Haiti, according to Minister Duale, citing the country's vast experience of engaging in global peacekeeping missions, including those in Kosovo, neighboring Somalia, and Congo. Despite these advancements, human rights organizations have expressed worries about its deployment, citing historical examples of human rights crimes during security operations in Somalia, especially the Jubaland region. Some security experts have expressed concern about a potential linguistic barrier between the Kenyan deployment, which primarily speaks English and Swahili, and the people of Haiti, where French and Creole are the official languages. Secretary Austin spoke with Somalia's president, highlighting that the country had achieved significant progress against al-Shabab in the previous year. He did warn, though, that development in such settings is not often linear, with improvements one day followed by obstacles the next. Somalia has asked the UN to postpone the removal of 3,000 troops in the second phase of the drawdown, requesting a 3-month postponement to allow for military reform. By the end of 2024, Somalia intends to take complete responsibility for national security. In a time when many African nations are forging closer ties with Russia, Kenya stands out as a loyal friend to Western countries. While some African nations are increasingly drawn to building alliances with Russia, Kenya has consistently maintained its allegiance to the West, particularly the United States. This unwavering commitment to Western partnerships takes on added significance as the geopolitical landscape in Africa evolves. While other African countries explore new relationships, Kenya's steadfast loyalty to its Western allies underscores its dedication to shared values, mutual interests, and common strategic goals. The dynamics in East Africa are complex, and Kenya's strengthened defense capabilities, coupled with its leadership in the Haiti mission, could reshape the regional geopolitical landscape. It remains to be seen how neighboring countries will react to Kenya's enhanced role, and whether this will lead to shifts in regional alliances or collaborative efforts to address common security challenges. As Kenya takes steps to assert itself in global security and solidify its alliances, the actions and responses of neighboring nations will be a critical factor in shaping the future of regional dynamics and cooperation in East Africa. Please watch the entire video of the United States and Kenya signing a defense deal in Nairobi.
I welcome the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, and his distinguished delegation. Today we stand before you having just concluded a highly productive meeting between the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Kenya and the United States Department of Defense. Subsequently, I'm delighted to announce that we have just signed a framework for defense cooperation spanning the years 2023 to 2028. This framework represents a significant milestone in our bilateral relations and underscores our shared commitment to peace, security, and stability in the region and globally. Let me highlight a few key points from our deliberations. One, we reaffirmed the strong and enduring partnership between Kenya and the United States. It's not just about shared interests, but shared values, shared commitment to democracy, and a shared desire for a safe and a more prosperous world. Two, the framework places a special emphasis on enhancing military interoperability between our two militaries in an increasing complex and interconnected world. Our ability to work seamlessly together is paramount. This cooperation will enable us to respond effectively to the ever-evolving security challenges in our region. Kenya has long been a contributor to international peacekeeping efforts, and we are proud to continue that tradition. The framework ensures that we receive the support and resources necessary for our operational deployment. In this respect, we remain committed to contributing to global peace and security. More importantly, our discussion opened avenues for exploring and expanding cooperation in the field of defense technology and innovation. We believe this framework will not only enhance our defense capabilities, but also contribute to our economic growth through joint ventures and technology sharing. This framework is a symbol of our shared vision for a better tomorrow. Both Kenya and the United States are driven by a common purpose, and together we will navigate the challenges that lie ahead. In conclusion, I want to express my gratitude to Secretary Austin and his team for their commitment to this partnership. Together, we are charting a course towards safer, more secure, more prosperous future for our nations and the world at large. I now invite U.S. Secretary of Defense to make his remarks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Secretary Duale, for your kind words. It's great to be here in Nairobi, and it's great to be in Kenya during my first trip across Africa as Secretary of Defense. I'm grateful for your warm welcome and your hospitality. Now, I wanted to be here in person to underscore the importance of our ties to Kenya. It was a pleasure to be able to meet today with Secretary Duale to discuss our strong defense partnership. And during our meeting today, I thanked him for hosting U.S. forces at Manda Bay and for his commitment to our shared security. Signing the framework for defense cooperation between our two countries today reinforces the importance of our strategic partnership with Kenya. And it will help guide our bilateral defense relationship for the next 5 years. I look forward to meeting with President Ruto later today to discuss our strategic partnership. Now, the U.S. government deeply values our partnership with Kenya in countering al-Shabab. We're grateful to Kenya for its leadership in tackling security challenges in the region and around the world. And I also thank the Secretary today for Kenya's willingness to consider leading a multinational security support mission in Haiti. The United States stands ready to support that mission by providing robust financial and logistical assistance. And we intend to work with the United States Congress to provide up to $100 million in support. And we urge others in the international community to follow Kenya's great example and to step up and to provide more personnel, equipment, support, training, and funding. So the United States remains committed to working with Kenya to help bring stability and security to the region and beyond. And we deeply appreciate Kenya's leadership and friendship. So thank you for being such great hosts and partners. And with that, we're happy to take a few questions.
My name is Cyrus Ombati. I work with the Star newspaper. Secretary of State, the Defense, I want to ask you about the foreign troops who are in Somalia under ATMIS. what's your assessment in terms of what they have achieved so far and the challenges they are facing and the way forward for you?
Thank you.
Thanks. So the question is, what is my assessment of progress against al-Shabab in Somalia? We had a great discussion on Somalia today, and I think we both agree that Somalia has made significant progress in the last year against al-Shabab. You may have heard us say earlier that they've retaken more territory in the last year than they had in the previous 5 years. But we know that progress is not always a straight line, and so we may see things improve significantly on one day, and maybe we'll see challenges on the next day. I had the opportunity to talk with the president of Somalia just yesterday while I was in Djibouti. Great discussion with him and his approach. He talked about his approach to doing things, and he recognizes that along with military operations, you also need to do things to provide benefit to the people. And so stability operations are really, really important. And I think all of us in a discussion today agree with that point. So our approach across the continent has always been a combination of defense capability, development, and also diplomacy. And I think that's the right combination to ensure that you create lasting effects. But again, we've seen a lot of progress. Progress is not always straight line. There'll be challenges and setbacks from time to time, but a lot of progress in the last year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks. I did have the opportunity to meet with the president of Somalia yesterday, as I said earlier. Great discussion. And again, we had a great discussion today with the secretary. His assessment is that he does need more time, and he's faced with the difficult task of keeping pressure on al-Shabab, at the same time generating forces so that he can continue to be successful. There are a number of countries in the region that have helped with that force generation, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done. So his assessment is that he does need more time, and our concern is that, again, we have established some momentum. We want to make sure that, where possible, we maintain that momentum. So I think countries in the region are looking for ways to continue to help, but in terms of what that's going to look like is yet to be defined. Now, I would also say that, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just the military force. As we discussed earlier, it requires substantial investment in other things, economic development, things that get after the root causes of instability. And so more investment, more things that he can provide to the people of Somalia to help maintain their support, I think, is what he needs as well. So.
I think we were here today to strengthen our bilateral defense cooperation with the U.S., which dates back to the 70s. So our shared values, our cooperation on defense, respect for democracy and human rights are what we share with the U.S. And from a defense perspectives, we are working very well with the U.S., both in the Horn of Africa, in East Africa, and in the Great Lakes region. And that's why you see our troops serving under ATMIS, our troops serving under the UN in DRC, and our troops serving in DRC, Eastern DRC, under the East African Regional Force. So our cooperation with the US is fundamental, and that's why we are here today. Secondly, I'm sure when issues of the region reaches the UN Security Council, all those other countries you're talking about, then they have their place and they have their space to contribute.
Thank you, sir.
Today is for our engagement with the US, what we do with them within our country and what we do with them within the region and Africa.
Thank you, sir. Mary, I've seen you raising your hand. Let us give a lady also to ask a question.
My question is to the both secretaries, sir. What are some of the benefits contained in the defense cooperation that has been signed today? And could you please elaborate if KDF is likely to have more intelligence share and maybe smart technology for the use in boosting the war against al-Shabab along the Kenya-Somali border?
Let me take the first one. I mean, the greatest terror group in East Africa now is al-Shabab. They recruit, they radicalize young people for their own terror operations. And the U.S., under this framework, we are working with them on the whole space of counter-terrorism. We are working with the U.S. in our maritime security. We are working with the U.S. in bringing peace and security within the region, Horn of Africa, and the Great Lakes region, and other countries involved. And we are working with the U.S. on our training and how the Kenya Defense Forces can be professionalized. And then finally, we have a serious cooperation under this framework on how we can gain from the U.S. technology, defense technology, and innovation.
Thank you, sir. I think because of time, I would like to have only one question. I can see CNN. Natasha, you want to ask a question?
Thank you so much. Mr. Secretary, first for you. How will France's decision to remove all of its troops from Niger by the end of the year affect the U.S.'s military posture in the country? Will the U.S. keep its forces there even with one of its closest partners withdrawing completely? And is France's withdrawal a blow to the counterterrorism war in West Africa writ large? And then for you, Mr. Minister, on the UN peacekeeping mission, once the UN does vote on a multinational security force for Haiti, how fast can that happen? What is the timeline, and when will boots actually be on the ground? And is Kenya prepared for that long-term security need? Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Regarding France's decision, as you know, each country will make its own decisions and for its own reasons, and I won't comment on France's decision or try to speak for France. But when it comes to our force posture in Niger, we've not made any significant changes to our force posture. And as I have mentioned a number of times before, we really want to see a diplomatic solution evolve. We want to see a peaceful end to the crisis. And most important, we want to see preservation of Niger's diplomatically elected government. And so while we give diplomacy a chance, we'll also continue to evaluate any future steps that would prioritize both our democratic and our security goals. But these goals are intertwined. So.
I think on Haiti, Kenya has a very long history of global peacekeeping. We were in Kosovo, we were in Namibia, we were everywhere. We are now in Somalia, we're in DRC. We have our officers in the Tigray monitoring and evaluation mechanism. When all the processes, beginning with the approval by the UN Security Council, are put in place, Kenya is ready, Kenya is willing to lead that multinational peacekeeping force that will go to Haiti.
The first photo is of both secretaries of defense. Then we will also have the second photo, the CDF Kenya and the U.S. ambassador to Kenya who will join in. Okay. Then who will join? Then let us have the second photo with our seat, the PS and the PS and the CDF. It's not in. It's not in, sir. Let us have that one. Okay. Okay. The next one is 5 CDF service commanders and or other general officers of the Kenya Defense Forces to join in. And finally, may the delegation accompanying the U.S. Secretary Lloyd Austin to the delegation, U.S. delegation, will just join in. Kindly, we do it fast because the officials are to be engaged somewhere and we need to save time. Yes. Thank you so much. I request you initially